Okay, here we are today. Aren't we all excited to be here? Well, I want to welcome all of you. I want to thank you for coming and being here with us virtually, because obviously we can't be here physically, but we are here spiritually, no matter where we are in the world, in time and space right now. And I appreciate you taking time out of your busy lives to be with us on this Saturday evening. I know some of you are probably just swamped in puzzle pieces to put together, or making root beer floats, or whatever it is that's keeping you busy right now. I appreciate you taking the time out of that to be here. Okay, let's get on to the action. Now, for all three of you who have been paying attention to this talk series, we have been spending the last 19 Saturdays going through Unity's 32 statements of faith. Bum, 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 bum. These are sort of our Unity co-founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore's manifesto on their beliefs as it pertains to Unity. And this slide shows the actual handwritten document from the Unity archives that they wrote, which is number 1, sitting right there on screen. So we've been going through each one, breaking it down and seeing how it is relevant for our modern lives today. We haven't been doing them in order. We did them in any particular order I felt called to do. Now I suspect very few of you were able to sit through all 19 thus far. I struggled getting through them myself. But if any of you did it, congratulations, that's quite a feat. I'll be handing out gold stars to you special kids after this service, so wait around for that. And this is a special moment for all of us, because today is the very last one. I can hear a big sigh out there. Oh, thank goodness. I heard that. Yeah, just traveled through. Yeah, there's cheering in the back from the tech booth. That's good. All right. It's unanimous. We're all ready to get through this. But before we get to our final one, let's look back just a bit. I did try to organize these statements of faith and present them in a chronology that would make some sense. So in recent weeks, in the past few weeks, we looked at the ones that pertained to the events leading up to and through the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Today we will follow that chronological order with our final statement of faith, which comes after the resurrection. Okay, without further ado, here it is. Statement of faith number 24. We believe that the second coming of Jesus Christ is now being fulfilled, that his Spirit is quickening the world. For as the lightning cometh forth from the east, and is seen even unto the west, so shall be the coming of the Son of Man. Watch therefore, for ye know not what day your Lord cometh. 2 quotes from the Bible there at the end. Now, this statement really highlights, which is one of the major differences you will find in Unity compared to traditional Christianity. And it all hinges on the term second coming. So before we go much further, let's remind ourselves of the traditional idea of the second coming, which we will do by way of a video that was created by gotquestions.org. I'm going to wait just a moment, because the man who's going to switch to that video for you is standing in front of me and now running upstairs to get back to his post. This is exciting. This is happening in real time. We're a skeleton crew today. Oh, I didn't even explain what's going on. Well, let me explain. We gave the music team a night off tonight. So they've been working very hard, and we decided to give them all a night off. So you're not going to have traditional music we would see here played by our musicians. We will have one song from Talia coming up in the middle of the talk, but that's why we went straight into it today. So they're getting a nice little break. I don't deserve a break. I haven't worked hard enough, but someday I will get that break. All right, this video is coming at you now.
What is the second coming of Jesus Christ? We're going to answer that question. The second coming of Jesus Christ is the hope of believers that God is in control of all things and is faithful to the promises and prophecies in His Word. In His first coming, Jesus Christ came to the earth as a baby in a manger in Bethlehem, just as prophesied. Jesus fulfilled many of the prophecies of the Messiah during His birth, life, ministry, death, and resurrection. However, there are some prophecies regarding the Messiah that Jesus has not yet fulfilled. The second coming of Christ will be the return of Christ. to fulfill these remaining prophecies. In his first coming, Jesus was the suffering servant. In his second coming, Jesus will be the conquering king. In his first coming, Jesus arrived in the most humble of circumstances. In his second coming, Jesus will arrive with the armies of heaven at his side. The Old Testament prophets did not make clearly this distinction between the two comings. This can be seen in these scriptures. As a result of the prophecies, seeming to speak of two individuals, many Jewish scholars believed there would be both a suffering Messiah and a conquering Messiah. What they failed to understand is that there's only one Messiah and he would fulfill both roles. Jesus fulfilled the role of the suffering servant in his first coming. Jesus will fulfill the role of Israel's deliverer and king in his second coming.
Okay, someday I would like to do something with the heavenly armies by my side. So I don't know why that's reserved just to Jesus. I would like to just walk into a club or a party one day and have the heavenly armies by my side. I think I deserve that one-time experience. Anyway, so when looking at something like that, we have to understand that Bible scholars love to scan through the Old and New Testament, piecing various quotes and statements together in order to build a narrative that fits their beliefs and ideology. In fact, every Bible-based religion and faith does this, including Unity. We read the Bible through our particular lens and discover what resonates with our particular belief. Now, all this leads to this question we must be wondering. Will there be an actual second coming of Jesus Christ? Some believe there will actually be, and I can't say they are wrong, and I won't say they are wrong, but I can say it doesn't make any sense to me as to why he would. And it's funny how the video talks about the first coming was sort of the passive, humble Jesus. And the second coming will be, well, it sounds like it will be the no-nonsense, butt-kicking Jesus, which actually reminds me of this movie trailer I want to show you on this next video coming up.
Next week on U62, he's back. And this time, he's mad. Gandhi 2. No more Mr. Passive Resistance. He's out to kick some butt. This is one bad mother you don't want to mess with.
Some of this stuff is just for my own viewing pleasure. Whether you guys are getting anything out of it, I really don't know. But I am, for sure. So that was not a real movie trailer. It was actually a spoof trailer that shows up in the movie from Weird Al Yankovic called UHF, if any of you remember that masterpiece back in the day, which can be found on Fandango's YouTube channel if you want to go check it out. But for me, the concept of this second coming of Gandhi is just as ridiculous as the concept of the second coming of Jesus Christ. As if the first passive, humble Jesus left with a score to settle. And now he's coming back angry and judgmental, egotistical, and ready to settle that score, which is exemplified in this subtle humor of a bumper sticker we all know and love. Jesus is coming, look busy. In many ways, we could simply surmise the idea of the second coming as a veiled threat in order to keep us in line, else we be punished. Which reminds me of something my mother used to say to us kids when we were disobeying or not listening to something she was saying. Perhaps your mother said this also. That's what she would say. Just wait until your father gets home. Which really set up an awkward scenario when my father did actually get home from work. Because my mother usually wouldn't bother him at work with a phone about what's going on, or by phone about what's going on at home. So we kids would sit there in terror for Dad to come home at the end of the day, visualizing the front door being like, kicked open, swinging open. Here he comes in a frantic rage to come attack us. But oftentimes, he was completely unaware of the threat that my mother had made. And he would just come sauntering in, all ready to be greeted by his happy children, only to find us quivering and shaking in the corner like he was some sort of monster. Of course, it didn't take long for my mom to pull him aside and get him up to speed so he understood the situation. But the visual of that entrance from his perspective has always made me laugh, him coming in, and there's just like terrified children, and he has no idea why. But really, there is this threat of Jesus Christ coming back. And some people get excited about it, but really in many ways it's a threat. And maybe, if we think about it, he's not even aware of it. Maybe nobody filled him in on the fact that he is supposed to come back. Perhaps he's like already in his limo on the way home from the concert, completely unaware that the crowd is still cheering for an encore. All right, well, we're going to move on to our only song for tonight, which is actually coming from our friend Talia, who recorded a video for us. She couldn't be here in person, but we reached out to her, and she reached back with a video recording of a music or a song she made, which we're going to show you now. So sit back, enjoy it. This is our friend Talia, who you see her all the time. Well, Talia, I hope you're watching. We really appreciate taking the time to make that, and what a beautiful setting to do that in. Awesome, really awesome. Thank you for that. All right. So, honestly speaking, why would Jesus come back? From a logical standpoint, what purpose would it really serve? People have their various explanations as to why, but I just don't really see a reason. It would be like, and follow me on this logic, it'd be like if we were the graduating class from a college that Jesus taught at as a professor. And on graduation day, he said this: "Now you get to go out into the world and apply everything I have taught you. But remember, at some undisclosed moment in time, I'm going to pop back into your life and grade you on how good you have done, and that grade will coincide with an equivalent punishment." It just wouldn't make much sense, and it really wouldn't be very helpful to live in constant fear of whether you are doing it exactly as you were told, without room for error in the self-discovery and application process of these new teachings you had received. Because we know fear, under the threat of punishment, really does not help you perform better. And I would imagine the loving Jesus Christ understands that concept as well. The lesson on how to live was given to us. Now we have graduated onto the school of life, learning how to apply it on our own as mature adults. We've been given the free will to explore, learn, and make mistakes along the way, knowing forgiveness will always be there. And so that is where Unity really takes a different stance on the second coming, which is defined in the Unity book, Revealing Word, written by Charles Fillmore. He says it is the awakening and the regeneration of the subconscious mind through the superconscious or Christ mind. The second coming is an individualized internal process. And you notice Charles didn't say the regeneration of the conscious mind, but of the subconscious mind, which is very important there. And it really makes this process a bit deeper and more difficult, in fact. Because on the surface, in our conscious mind, we could say this: I am one with the divine and all things. But subconsciously, in the mind that operates behind our mind, in the thoughts behind our thoughts, there is disbelief. Subconsciously, we don't believe in our divinity and our oneness. And that disbelief creates a very real experience of disconnection, separation, and isolation in our lives. So it is not enough to raise the conscious mind Christward, because we do that all the time with our empty lip service. It is the raising of the subconscious mind Christward that actually initiates and eventually creates the result of becoming Christ-aware, becoming awakened, self-realized, or enlightened, if those are the terms you're used to, which doesn't come through empty effort and spiritual lip service. Our fifth unity principle is quite clear about this when it says, knowledge of these spiritual principles is not enough. We must live them. To take the lessons of Christ or any other spiritual teacher deep enough to reach the subconscious and reprogram the subconscious, there has to be a considerable amount of time given to focused practice of what it is you have been taught. Sort of like developing muscle memory for a specific movement. But even more complex than that, because we are not only trying to develop new muscle memory, but we are also working to remove old muscle memory. The muscle memory of patterns that no longer serve our well-being. As Jesus actually stated here in the book of Luke, if any want to become my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me. For those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will save it. Let's go back through this and look a bit closer. If anyone want to become my followers, let them deny themselves. To deny oneself is to use the willpower to resist the urges and desires of the limited ego, self-centered consciousness in the subconscious, to become aware of the thoughts behind the thoughts that cause us to make poor decisions. The thoughts of greed, envy, lust, lack, jealousy, judgment, revenge, you name it. Aware enough of these thoughts behind our thoughts so that we can begin to catch them before they cause us to act inappropriately. Moving on, he says, take up their cross daily and follow me. This means to take to task the practice every single day, to become more and more aware of these ill thoughts behind our thoughts, to begin to use our willpower to redirect them and retrain them in a better direction, resulting in better decisions and better outcomes. Each and every day opening up more and more to the guidance of the higher awareness, or what we call Christ consciousness. He continues on, for those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will save it. The ill-patterned life most of us are living will at some point have to be let go of in favor of something better. The old way of thinking, acting, wanting, judging, regretting, distracting, dramatizing, the old way of living will have to be let go of in order to make space for a new life, the kind of life that Christ was guiding us towards. Although most people think their lives are pretty good, they analyze their life and they go, that's pretty good. I don't know if I really have to put the time or effort in required to make it better. But in comparison to the life a child of God could and should be living, our lives are coming up way short. Our lives need saving, not saved by someone or something else, but saved by our own daily effort to be just a bit better. Daily repetition to build new muscle memory, which I would call a spiritual practice. And at first, it might seem difficult to us as we are challenged to use our out-of-practice willpower, challenged to set aside time each day to do the spiritual practice we know we ought to be doing. But, as Jesus said, take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. The practice seems difficult at first because we are pushing against the resistance of the rusty and corroded hinges on the door to our awakening. But the more consistent effort we put into that resistance, the more the hinges start to give way and the door begins to open. But too much time in between each effort on our part, and the hinges just rust over again, negating the previous effort. That is why consistency is king and focus is queen. But these words of Jesus I read, like we have read today, tell me that I have been handed the baton and Jesus Christ intended me to run with it. Or more literally, I have been handed the yoke and told to run with it. So in that sense, I think Jesus Christ would agree with me and see that there is no reason for him to come back. Because if we really understood what he was teaching, we would know that the Christ never went away. And is actually the Christ in us that is waiting for our return. So we're going to take these truths into a bit of silence and meditation. So I invite you, wherever you are, whatever you are doing, to close your eyes, if possible, to sit or lay with your spine straight, to relax into your breath, to allow the stillness to settle over your body. to allow the heart to slow down, to allow the mind and the thoughts to follow. To allow yourself a moment away from the chaos of the world. To allow yourself a moment to be free from the information of stress and fear and doubt. That even the strongest among us have a difficult time ignoring and not letting us bring us down. So we allow ourselves, by using our willpower, to shut these information sources out and to tap in to where true information lies. In the stillness, we find peace. In the quiet, we reveal wisdom. In the calm, we find direction. In the seemingly emptiness of the void, we find the pinpointed truth to all of our questions. The truth and the answers to all of our problems, which is quite simple. You are a child of God. You are a spark of spirit on a journey. All of this is just a play. And you get to choose what character you want to be. You can choose to be the victim. You can choose to be the hero. You can choose to be the aloof one that's just too interesting for anyone to touch. You can choose to be humble and radiating peace to those around you. You can choose to be the character that no one quite understands because he's not playing the same game that everyone else is playing. Because in fact, you've chosen to be her or him that recognizes it as a game and has stepped out of it. If I can grab onto even a slice of the reality that I am a being of infinite source, that has traveled for thousands of lifetimes, even just a fraction of that truth has to bring me calm and peace in the fact that this too shall pass. What a blessing that we've been giving a choice to choose which character we play. And so we sit in the silence, resting with that blessing. We breathe this blessing deep into our bodies so it permeates the subconscious mind and reminds it that it's not in control. Spirit is driving this whole production. And through my willpower, I'm going to choose what role I'm going to play and enjoy it the most I possibly can through my choices. I breathe another deep breath, start bringing myself back into this time and space, becoming more aware of this body and its placement in the room I'm sitting. I'm grateful for this experience, and so it is. And when I'm ready, I open my eyes. I did want to share a little tidbit that just popped into my head. 10 to 15 years ago, I used to say, I don't care a lot. People would say, oh, this thing happened, that happened, and they'd be talking about the drama of the situation, and I'd say, I don't care. Or they'd say, oh, did you hear what happened to so-and-so, or this and that, and I'd say, I don't care. And people would get really deeply offended to me saying that. And I realized what I was experiencing was I was unattached. And the words that kept coming to my mind were, I don't care, which are offensive in our language. And so I started shifting and saying, I'm unattached. I'm unattached to the drama that's running your life. I'm unattached to the drama that's even running my life. I'm working towards more unattachment. I'm not letting the waves of drama that move through society move me as much anymore. I'm not letting the waves of drama that move through my personal life move me as much anymore. If we can work towards being unattached, still caring, still acting, but unattached to the drama, that we can finally start to get our lives back. Speaking of lives, we have a mission here, which is transforming lives, inspiring people to make a difference, a positive difference in our world. This is a twofold process. I talk about this every week, and I think it's crucial that I keep talking about it so you understand how important it is. We are working on our own spiritual transformation. That is our job in our lifetime. If you want to know what is the meaning of life, that is it. Not much more difficult than that. But the second part of that is we are here to help other people transform their lives, not forcefully, but through service and through example. That's why we first work on transforming our lives, so we become an honorable example of these teachings, and then we move on to transferring the lives of the people around us through example, through service, not through pressure, not through judgment, not through pointing fingers, not through putting people down, not through saying, they're unlike me, I'm better than them. No, it's I am a humble spiritual being in this experience, and I'm recognizing my brothers and sisters in this experience as representations of parts of me, and I cannot judge them, therefore, because it is me acting out in a certain way, no matter how horrifying I think it might be what they're doing. There is some part of me in that, and I only start to heal this planet if I start to see myself in that and raise that part of myself even higher. So we fulfill this mission by giving and serving. If you're feeling called tonight, which I hope you are, to give to Unity of Boulder, this organization that is doing so much in this community and the lives of the people that are part of it, you're fulfilling both parts of this mission. Transforming your own life, investing in the thing that is transforming your life, and investing in the thing that is transforming the lives of people around you and everyone that's partaking. And when we give of our time through service and we give of our finances through giving, we are opening the floodgates of abundance in our life. We've been raised in this culture to hoard and to hold on to, and don't let things get away, and save as much as you can, and don't let anybody else get a piece of your pie. And that is why we are suffering, and that is why we are bottled up, and that is why we are not feeling the flow of abundance in our lives. When we give financially, spiritually, physically, through our time, then we start to open those floodgates, and we do it joyfully, not with resentment. We give joyfully. We become a joyful giver, as it says in the Bible, or as Charles Fillmore would say, become a hilarious giver. Enjoy giving so much that you become a hilarious giver, which I always love that visual, by the way. All right, so we do have many ways to give here at Unity of Boulder. We've made it as easy as possible. We know you're not here physically. We have text to give. You can give through our website, through the donate page. You can actually call our office and set up recurring donations. This really helps us through this period of time, so we have that consistent money coming in. And you also download the Easy Tithe app, and you can set up your own recurring giving there, or just give one time through there. And we also are still accepting cash and check by mail, so if you want to mail us a donation that way, we would lovingly receive that at our address, which is up there. All right, so we do have some announcements, things we need to say. We are doing a lot of activities on Zoom, so we've made a slide specifically for that so you can see everything we're doing. If you do not have the login information for Zoom yet, please email us at info@unityofboulder.com so you can get that information. I lead the Monday meditation on Zoom at 5:30 p.m. on Mondays. We are still doing the coffee with the ministers Tuesday and Friday at noon, so, excuse me. You should bring your questions and your concerns of what's happening in the world to those meetings so the ministers can address those and answer them, and that helps us keep the meeting going and fresh. And we're trying to stay positive. We can address negative issues, but we're going to look at the positive side of those. We do have the singles group meeting the first and third Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. The alternative healing group with Norma Groveland, my mother, is happening the second and fourth Thursday at noon. The women's discussion group is happening every Thursday at 6 p.m., which is open to all women. And then, of course, we're going to be doing Sunday fellowship after the second service tomorrow, which is a little bit after noon usually, but we'll fire that up, try to do it right at noon, so we'll find you all there for fellowship. And please come with questions about the talk for Santisha at that time so we can address those. And I also want to remind you, tomorrow we do have 2 services. We're back to the 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. service. We'll have the meditation service with Jack and Norma at 9, and then my sister Santisha will be joining us at 11 for that service. And that will be live streamed just in the same platform that you're watching right now. Last thing, I do want to remind you that we are still doing the food drive. We have the barrels out front of the building. If you can come by and drop off some non-perishable food, we'd really appreciate that to help the food banks throughout the city at this time. Man, I think I did it. I'm dry in the throat, so I know usually that's about the end of my time of talking when my throat gets dry. That's the universe saying, enough already. Shut your trap. Okay. Thank you all for coming. We love you. We deeply appreciate you. Have a wonderful night, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow.